We are live. You can hear me good. I can hear you good. Let's see.
Live. You can hear me good. I can hear you good.
I gotta mute my thing. There we go.
Let's see. Live.
All right, good. Got that muted. All right, so I am with Aaron Irons, the director of Chest 2022, that is upcoming. And say what's going on, Aaron. Say hi to the little fan base I have that's growing a bit.
Hey, it's good to be here. I know you've definitely been spearheading our out there promoting our movie, and I appreciate it. And it's nice to come here and talk to you.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I was so generous of you, so nice of you to send me the code to watch it a few months back, and genuinely, like I told you, like probably the best found footage film I've seen all year. And I really, really enjoyed what you did with it. But for the people who haven't heard of Chest, give a little description or synopsis, or background on it, something that can get them wondering, hey, Al, what's going on?
Yeah, so the basic plot is there's this team of, I wouldn't say paranormal investigators, but they mainly go and try to investigate local legends and just strange stories from Appalachia. And they find this one story that involves this chest, or like a big treasure chest that was found in a cave by some hunters. And they tried to open it and had locks all over it and chains and everything. And the hunters left and they came back to try to open it again, and they never could find it. So this team go investigating the story and figuring out what if it's true and who was involved, and just generally trying to make a documentary about it. And of course, it's found footage, so it doesn't go very well for them.
In general found footage fashion, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty. The story itself is it's been told before, but the kind of the thing is all the stories that I mentioned in the movie and the story of the chest is a true story. So I just built this mythology around it and made the movie.
Yeah, no, it worked. It worked great, man. Like I said, I enjoy the hell out of it. I enjoy all types of movies or documentaries, anything that surrounds legends and myths and stuff like that, and the origins of them, and just pretty much every theme that you explore in this film of just how they change as time goes on, and just after whatever amount of people down the line are telling the same story, the same legend, how it could be something completely different than what it started as, or just details are omitted or details are added in and elaborated, and just all of that always fascinated me. So to see it used and explored so effectively in the film, I really had a great time with that. What made you want to do it in a found footage style? Any particular reason?
Several reasons. One, I love the genre. And I just feel like if you're going to make a movie about a documentary crew doing something, it's best to be in that format. And it's just, as a first-time director, it just seemed like the more natural style for me. I didn't go to film school or do any of this fancy stuff, and I didn't have the budget for a lot of gear and having a big crew of lights and expensive cameras and everything. So it was kind of a budgetary restraint. And it's kind of the only style I really have an interest in doing as far as a feature goes.
Makes sense. And I mean, like, for the budget you had, like I've talked to you privately about it, that what you were able to do with it is really stunning, actually. Like how you were able to just bring this story and this myth and legend of this chest, and the characters, they're so likable, and to bring all of that together and to life with a small budget, that's not an easy feat, and that I think you did an amazing job with that. You and Josh, everybody involved, like very, very very good with the handling the budget, which is just something you see with a lot of found footage movies, because found footage is, there's so many found footage movies that exploded after, I'd say, maybe Paranormal Activity. I mean, Blair Witch, obviously, but after Paranormal Activity is kind of like when you saw an explosion of the subgenre. And how many found footage films are, you go on Tubi, you can find 2,000 of them just sitting there.
Oh yeah.
Because they are cheap to make, and it's like the slasher films of the 80s, like back in the 80s craze, the slasher film craze of the 80s. They were cheap to make then, and it became a saturated market. But being able to, it just goes to show that budget doesn't really matter if you have a vision and you have a creative way of telling a story. That's really what matters in the end, and that's what I think you did a great job with it.
Yeah, and the thing I learned quickly was, you always, if you're going to fund your own project and you don't have a lot of money, you just write to your budget. So you don't, you're not going to have expensive expensive car chases or explosions and eat up your entire budget. So like 90% of that budget was mainly just paying everyone, because I also didn't want to just make a movie where nobody got paid. And because I've worked on films before, when I was in college, and you'd be on the set for 12 hours and you're not making any money. And it's just like, so I didn't want that to happen. And also I had to go SAG, Screen Actors Guild. I had to do as a SAG project, just because some of the actors that I'm friends with that are in it are SAG members, and they can't really just do fringe projects without SAG being involved. So that was a big pain in the ass, but
I guess
guaranteed everybody got paid, and
yeah, they're good. That's all that matters. What made you want to get into filmmaking? Because I know you were also you played music.
Yeah, it's kind of something I always wanted to do, and also just where I'm from, with these weird stories that when I tell people about them, people are they're like, where do you live? Like, why is everything so like, there's just
like everything strange seemed to happen.
Yeah, just weird. It's like that in most small towns. I feel like people just make up grand stories. So you have a lot of weird stories in small towns. But and at some one point I was like, well, I kind of want to just tell these stories, and the best way was to make a movie. And I happened to know some really good actor friends, and they knew some other people, and it came together pretty quick. Within a year, I had planned it, written the whole screenplay, and got everything together, and we were shooting within a year. So
nice. So it pretty much fell into place pretty swiftly.
Yeah, I mean, it was stressful, a lot, and more work than I've probably ever done, but yeah, it
paid off.
Yeah, my neighbor is a filmmaker as well, Jeff Wedding. He's done a few pretty underground horror movies, but a lot of people know them. But he told me one time he came over, and I told him I was going to make a movie, and he said, when you start doing this, you're going to ruin your life, probably go bankrupt. You're going to hate it. You're going to say you're never going to do it again. And then when it's done, you're going to make another one. Like,
you're going to do it all over again, because then you're going to see the finished creation, and it's your baby. Like, it's your creation,
Yeah, it's only painful in the moment.
Once you see it come together and the finished product, and then you get that sense of relief of, all right, all the hard work, it's done, it's paid off. We have a finished product here. We have a movie here, and it's your first film. It's like, this is my first film here. That's like, I'm sure you must have. It's your baby, this film. And speaking of how it came together so swiftly, I assume some of that had to do with the backstory on the true story, kind of the legend in your life. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, with the the actual legends that you heard growing up that inspired.
Yeah, most of these stories came from one of my uncles on my mom's side. His name was Shag. He went by Shag for some reason, but he used to just tell us all kinds of crazy, weird stories. And the story of the chest was the one that he would always tell. And there were hunters that found it, and they couldn't. It was behind a cave, like during a drought or something, and they went and tried to open it, came back, and it never was found again. So, as a kid, me and my friends would go out into the mountains and just try to find this cave and potentially find that chest. But mostly, it just ended up us like drinking beer up in the mountains. So that was kind of the inspiration to make the movie, since we never really found it, but I don't know. As far as I know, it's out there.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. I'm assuming, besides going out and looking for it and then, hanging out and drinking beers and stuff, you've looked into the legend and the history of it and stuff like that growing up, like since you heard it. Have you found any type of validity to it, like any type of record or anything that would indicate that this could stem from any type of truth?
Just from other people that have heard similar, like there's other versions of it, where it was actually found in a mine, like in a mine, where they like peered through a hole in this where it had collapsed, and they could see the chest on the other side of the wall,
like a false wall.
Yeah, and
Makes
so
sense.
like in that story, they went to come back to try to clear out the rocks to open it up, but when they did and went back there was nothing there, like it had just disappeared or something. So it's not, I don't know how you would really research that.
Yeah, like
all these old mountain people are probably just full of shit, but
well, at least if anything, the legend it made a great film.
Yeah, I mean,
you be able to take that legend and turn it into art,
Yeah, and it's an endless source of just great horror stories.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other things that are mentioned in the movie, like the story. There's a story of Ebenezer Jeffrey, which is you can actually look that story up, but it also differs. There's an area up there called Jeffrey's Hell in the City Kill Wilderness in East Tennessee, and it gets its name because this guy Ebenezer Jeffrey disappeared up there. Like this is like in the 1800s or something, and they say he went to hell, or so, like he got lost in the woods. I can't remember that version. The version I heard was he was hunting and his hunting dogs ran into a cave, and this guy told him not to go into the cave because it was evil, and he told the guy that he would go into hell after the dogs, and he never came out of the cave. So they named the area Jeffrey's Hell. So that story was also kind of fascinating growing up, and it's kind of similar to like I always assumed, like maybe the chest is in that cave because nobody's ever been able to
like
where that cave is
linked somehow, like the two legends stories. And it's fascinating that you're able to draw so much inspiration from these legends that you heard. How old were you when you first started hearing those legends from your uncle, would you say?
Yeah, probably 9 or 10 years old, maybe.
Yeah, so pretty much very, very young you started hearing these. And I think it's so interesting that you're able to draw from that inspiration in your past and use that to push into this movie and make this whole lore and like background for this movie. And we got someone. Hey, Popcorn, what's going on? Hey, Big T.
There's some people trickling in over here.
Yeah, got some people coming in. But yeah, just let's see, what else do I want to say? How did casting go? Because I know you said you had you were friends with a decent amount of them.
Yeah, so the people I knew personally were Dean Shortland, the Australian guy. I've known him for quite a while.
Great performance.
He was one of the first people I reached out to. And then Ted Welch, I met through some mutual friends, and he was like one of the first people to agree to do it. He's usually pretty down to do anything. And Jasson and Cring, the main guy, Mark, him and Sarah, I met when probably almost 10 years ago. We did a stage production of Terminator 2.
Oh wow, interesting.
And it was called Terminator the Second, where another friend of mine, it's actually the guy at the very beginning of the movie, one of the cops, the skinny guy, Marshall, he wrote this script for him and another friend of mine. They took the Terminator 2 screenplay and basically replaced all the dialogue with words and phrases from all of Shakespeare.
Okay.
So it's like if Shakespeare, yeah, and we put it on. It was a hell of a show. But Jasson was the Terminator, and then Sarah was she was like a orderly or something in that, and that's how I met them. And then I just kind of reached out to them whenever I had this project going. Wasn't sure who they were going to be at the time.
Yeah.
And then I met Marissa through Ted, and he sent me some of her work. They did a TV show together called Almost Balanced Foodie. And as soon as I watched that, I was like, she's perfect. Like,
yeah,
very funny, but also like really good actress. And she could really play that role really well. It's a totally different person than what she is in the movie.
Oh yeah, again, I've told you, I think she gives the best performance in the movie, honestly. Like, she highly enjoyed seeing everyone gives such a good performance in this movie. And like I said, it really makes you care about these characters. And it kind of being in the found footage genre, and with the whole, this is their footage found years later, their fates, but like while you're watching it, you don't want it to be true. Like, you don't want this to be like, oh, I don't want these people to die or anything, harm coming their way or anything like that. Like, and it's not easy to make all your characters in a group, in a film like this, that relatable and likable. And I think that all of them did such a great job with their performances in this.
Yeah, they really brought their A game, and they really helped me a lot. Just them having everybody having an experience, because I was the one that didn't have. I had the least experience of everybody involved, so they were able to kind of I'd be like, just go, like let them do whatever they wanted to do. And it worked out really well. It helped to get like really natural performances, and and
it shows, yeah, for sure. What were some of your best memories working on the film?
Oh, I mean, the shoot out in East Tennessee was it was fun. It's very, very stressful, but it was really cool to we were all staying in a cabin together, and we'd shoot all day and then come back at night and hang out and watch movies and just party. And yeah, that was really fun. And of course, like going and doing these festivals and stuff after the release is always a really, really nice time.
Yeah, congratulations on the awards that it's been winning. I know. What was the most recent one? The festival that it was at?
That was the one in St. Louis, the Haunted Garage.
Yeah.
Great film festival. If anybody's watching this and looking for a really cool horror festival that really appreciates low budget indie films and stuff, they are really solid people.
Nice. And what you guys won for what there?
Marissa won Best Actress. Josh won Best Actor. I won Best Director, and then we won Best of Fest. So we'll be going back there next year.
That's awesome, man. That's so great to hear. Yeah. Congratulations. It's got to feel great, right? After get all the hard work going into this, and then finally having this finished film, and now being able to show it around at all these film festivals. It's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's still a lot of work, but it's the easy stuff now.
Yeah, it's like the harder parts are behind you. Now it's just pushing forward. So let's talk about the release of when you're trying to get this released.
So
And how, like, which
yeah, I've submitted the film through Film Hub, which is an aggregator for all the streaming services, basically. And they've accepted it, approved it. They go through like a QC quality check process and everything. So we've passed all that stuff, and now we're just waiting for channels to pick it up, basically. And it's hard to really gauge a timeline. From what I've read, people that have done Film Hub, it can take like 2 months or 2 weeks or.
yeah,
I'm shooting for the beginning of next year for an official release, but I'm definitely going to try to have Blu-rays done for early next year. Hope maybe even by Christmas. I don't know.
That'd be a great Christmas present.
Yeah,
Done by having it on Blu-ray for that. And I know you're planning to have a lot of special features and stuff on that on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've been going through and making like deleted scenes and behind the scenes footage and stuff, like mainly from just people on the cast and crew making videos while we were shooting. So it's a lot of kind of goofy stuff, but it's a nice little,
like their own little personal cams, having fun with between shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
fun. That'll be great to see. At what point do you think during filming and shooting it, or even pre-production or anything, what was the moment that you kind of realized, like, all right, this is actually all falling into place, like this is all actually working out the way I'm envisioning it, like I'm actually making a film here, like, and it's working, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Really after that first shoot, it just kind of, it felt really, I was, it's his first time directing and doing any of this stuff. And I was also running sound at the time, which was a terrible but after that day was over, it's like, we finished early. We were expecting to shoot for 2 days and we only shot for the 1 day. And when I realized that, like, how good everybody was and how quickly we were able to get through the scene, it was like, man, this is going to be pretty, because we shot 60 pages in East Tennessee in 6 days.
Wow.
And that was like in the woods and stuff too. So
yeah, maneuvering around, or it's got to be crazy maneuvering around in the woods there.
Yeah, and trying to keep everybody safe and away from bears and locals and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know which is more dangerous, the bears or the locals.
Well, the locals can be. You just have to. You can reason with them a little easier than you can a bear, I guess.
Oh, that makes sense. Where was the location? I forgot what it was. When I gave my friend Jasson, who reviewed the film on his channel.
The big round building
area that you were talking about that you didn't want to film in too much.
Yeah, there's for the people that haven't seen it, there's a location that we had that is this old, it's like a big silo, and it was a slate silo there was a mine there during the Civil War. Okay. And there's actual pictures of that area from like the 1800s that are just unrecognizable. It's this huge mining operation. And now back in there, there's just all these like ruins of this like old foundations up through the mountain and stuff where everything was built. And but this big silo, it was also a hotel in the 30s. They converted it into a hotel. It's got a spiral staircase going around the outer perimeter of it. And that failed, and then it was a sanitarium back when the tuberculosis epidemic was going on, and there were a lot of patients that were there, and so it was like a doctor's office or something. But since then, it's been vacant for probably I don't know, 70 years or so, and it's just very dilapidated. When I was in high school, we used to go out there all the time, and you were able to go all the way to the top inside, and it was still kind of hadn't been vandalized too much, but then at some point somebody set it on fire and it burned out the whole bottom floor.
Yeah.
and it's just really dangerous. I wanted to do a lot more with that building, but I didn't want to, get people.
Yeah, it has the look, like it has a creepy look to it.
Yeah, the scenes where I'm actually inside it and running around and like climbing around behind it, it's supposed to be Marissa, but I shot all that stuff myself, so try to avoid anyone getting hurt.
No, of course, and it sounds
I'll
like
hurt myself.
sounds like it went through the gamut. That place, you're saying it used to be that thing, and then turned into a sanitarium after being a hotel, and so it's got a lot of history. Just that location right there.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of ghost stories around it, and of course.
Oh, sure. You know what? You have one you can share with
us? Just people that have gone up there and seen weird things, like people looking out the windows at them and stuff like that, and just hearing a lot of weird stuff. But I spent about 6 hours up there in the middle of the night by myself, and I didn't really see anything. But
maybe next time you're hanging out, go up there, hang out. Maybe you see a ghost.
Maybe I should check the footage a little better. Maybe I actually did see something.
You never know. Maybe, right? You start looking through the deleted scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Like I didn't even notice that. We got paranormal evidence on tape here.
It'll be a good sequel.
Yeah, right. And you can just, and that will come right from real events too.
Yeah,
your footage of capturing this. What got you into found footage?
Like most people, it was Blair Witch Project when I was probably like 15 or so when that came out, and I went to the theater with people that thought it was real, and a lot of people did, just because it was it wasn't something you couldn't really Google anything back then, and they had a website that looked as legit as anything else. Yep. You couldn't really cross check anything to see if it was actually true, and a lot of people fell for it.
Oh yeah, I remember I snuck into the theaters with a friend of mine. My friend's brother worked at the theater, so he would just let us go in and stuff. Nice. So we went in and saw it, and a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people did think that this was real footage that was being shown there. And yeah, back in that day, there was no way to cross-check anything. There's no way to verify anything that these claims are. At the website, I remember, with the police photos and or police photos and all that stuff, and the marketing was absolutely brilliant for that movie.
And I think that was the marketing. What really blew my mind. But the main thing I took away from the Blair Witch Project was that it was the first time I've ever saw a movie where you didn't have to do what other movies do. Like, it was such a it wasn't the first found footage movie, but it's the first one I saw. So it was like, wow, you can just basically do anything and make a movie and make it successful. And, as long as you have a good story and you pull it off. And they made that movie for so cheap, and there was no standard technique. So it kind of just threw everything into the fan. And it's like, there's no playbook after that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they just threw whatever they could at the wall and see what stuck.
Yeah.
And most of it did, because look at the found footage genre today.
Yeah.
And and like you said, it's not the first found footage. We have the Cannibal Holocaust from 1980, which not fully found footage, but the idea is there.
Yeah.
That film for sure. And I don't know if I know the last broadcast came out the year before Blair Witch.
I think the McPherson tape is actually the first considered one.
I don't know if I ever saw that, but that sounds familiar.
Yeah, what's that? I always assumed it was Cannibal Holocaust, but I watched that found footage documentary on Shudder, and they were talking about the McPherson tape. It's not very good, but for the time that it was being made, like you can see it probably influenced a lot of the what Eduardo Sanchez did on Blair Witch. So people influencing the next generation, I guess.
Yeah. What year was that McPherson tape? Was 70s or?
Man, can't remember.
It's killing me, because I know I've heard of the film, and I don't think I've ever seen it though.
I think it's on Shudder now.
Oh yeah, because I know the documentary you're talking about, the found footage one on Shudder.
Yeah,
I put it on maybe a month ago or so, and I watched a little bit of it, and then I had to run and do something else. But I got to sit down and rewatch that because I liked what I saw with that. I like watching horror documentaries.
yeah, it was pretty cool. So McPherson tape is 89. It may not be considering Cannibal Holocaust just because
Yeah, it could be that they're not, because like I said, it's not it has Cannibal Holocaust has the outline kind of for the found footage, but like it's actually interesting how they did that movie and just had like in the movie itself is them showing the producers of this TV program or whatever that's trying to release the documentary of the cannibal tribe and stuff like that, and they're being shown the footage in the film. So it's like it's a cool approach that they had for that, and you can definitely see the outline for found footage there. But I wouldn't call it like a fully found footage film.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules that have been written. I'm not sure who's making them up, but it's like if you have too many cinematic elements, then it's like the found footage purists are just like, no, it's not found footage.
Yeah, like you hear that with like you've seen Lake Mungo, right?
Yeah,
I love that movie. And what's another one like that? Howard's Mill came out like a year ago on Tubi. That's a good one. If you haven't seen it, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, it's the guy from my movie, the guy in the truck at the end.
I love the cleaner.
Yeah, Jessejames.
Love that guy.
And the one of the guys from Howard's Mill, he plays the big guy that everybody thinks is killing everybody or something.
Okay.
I can't remember his character, but Jeremy Childs is his name, and he was almost cast in Chest as the role of the guy in the truck, but he had just finished that movie and he didn't want to do two found footage movies back to back, and he was on Preacher at the time, that show Preacher.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's interesting. Then he almost ended up being cast in, as the guy at the end.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's interesting.
But Jessejames, the guy he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I brought up those films because, like you said, with like the rule book, people say like, "Oh, it's not found footage," like because you hear like Mungo, especially, Howard's Mill. I feel like is newer and not as well known, but Lake Mungo has been getting a lot more recognition in the last 5 years or so. But you hear people all the time, at least I do, that will say that like Lake Mungo is not really found footage. That it's a faux documentary or like whatever name they want to throw at it, but it's just all the same to me. Like it's still in that same type of format that it's using the video and stuff like that to make it seem real, to make this seem like real footage, or to make it seem like a real documentary. So it's like when, like you said, when purists come out and try to say like, oh, this has too much of this or that and it's not real found footage, it's like, who's making these rules again?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no rules in art, first of all, in general, for any type of art, but for found footage, like I feel like there's definitely it's a genre that can keep expanding and can keep having new, like, in kind of like reinventing the wheel for it over and over again. I don't have ideas for how. Maybe it's something you could figure out and reinvent the wheel down the line with found footage, but I feel like it's grown many times since like the Blair Witch Project.
I really like what I can't remember his name now, but the guy who did Host.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember his name either.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, he kind of did the screen life genre of found footage is not new, but I really like what he did, just because he took the Zoom format, and the movie was as long as a Zoom call can be, And
Yeah.
he all of his movies definitely have kind of a gimmick to them like that.
Mm.
With the Dash Cam was kind of the same way with the band car is an actual real show that Annie Hardy does, and it's kind of like what if the worst thing happened during one of those episodes and stuff. It'd be like if you're doing your show and then like an alien abduction happens or something. Yeah, I think that
That's cool.
there's potential to advance the genre. I think it's hard to not do something that other people have done, but
Of course. I
I think as long as you do it in a way that seems genuine and unique, as you can do anything.
Yeah, and I always say that on my channel, that the script, your story is the most important thing in a movie. Like for me, I'm watching a movie. That's the most important thing for me. Is if they got a good story, if they have a good script, everything else is a bonus on top of that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, of course, if you have like everything else is terrible and you have a good story, still, it's not going to turn out the greatest. But anything that it's the foundation is, the script and story is your foundation. And I think if you have a strong story and strong script, and then you have a lot better chance of everything else kind of falling into place and working on top of it.
Yeah, and there's also the Bad Ben phenomenon.
Yeah,
it's because those movies are, and he knows he's not making gold, but people just fell in love with his character, and they're like the whole Bad Ben thing is built on Nigel Botch. Like he's just such a likable, funny dude that whenever he makes a movie, people are like all over it. And he made the first one and it blew up like crazy. And he made a second one that he wasn't in, and people were just like, "No, I don't want this." And he's like, "All right, I guess I'm a horror icon now, and now I have to be in all of these movies." And he's made like I think his plan was to make like 15 of them.
Really? Wow.
That's just another, and he spent like $300 on the first one, and just another like he did something without really meaning to that inspired a lot of people, and
that's what happens a lot of the time. Is that don't mean to? It's just happy accidents that happen, and then it turns out being so influential on other people, and it just takes off.
Yeah, and I talked to him at a horror festival one time, and he told me that he was originally about to. His mom lived in that house that is the Bad Ben house, and she was in hospice, and he was taking care of her. And when she died, he was just like, "Well, what am I going to do with my life now?" And he was like, "I'm just going to make a movie." So he hired all these actors, had a script and everything, and was getting ready to make like an actual budgeted movie, and everybody kept bailing on him. And he got down to like one actress that was left, and he got a phone call one night, and she said, "Hey, I'm moving to LA. I can't do your movie." And that instant, when she gave up on him, he started recording the intro to Bad Ben that's in the movie, and he just winged that whole movie. And he's like, "If nobody wants to do this movie, I'm just gonna make a movie." And he just kind of made everything up on the spot. And 6 months later, he's trending on all kinds of stuff, and he had like one of the biggest indie plays on Amazon Prime for a long time, like millions of streams, and it's
unreal how stuff like that happens. And like you were saying earlier with him, like with him being in saying, "I guess I'm a horror icon," from him not being in the. It's kind of like Halloween.
Yeah.
When you had Birth to Halloween, then you had Season of the Witch, which it's actually my favorite sequel in the Halloween franchise. But that movie came out and no Michael Myers. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And everyone just hated over that. And then we had the return of Michael Myers like 5-6 years later. So I mean, sometimes, like you said, they don't realize that they're even that influential when they're doing something.
Yeah.
They end up being that influential and being that big and that familiar face or character, and that just people want to see more of them.
Yeah, and that's an important thing, I think, as a filmmaker or any kind of artist, is to realize going forward that people are going to hate what you do and people are going to love what you do. It's just you have to find that audience because there's an audience for everything. It doesn't matter what it is. So if a few people say something sucks, then you're gonna have just as many say they love it, and that's all you got to focus on, really.
I say that all the time with pretty much whenever I discuss a film that sucked on my channel. But I'll say that like look at Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Did you get to see that?
I haven't yet.
I
kind of want to see it just because of
that's how I feel.
One good thing about it, it's like
that's what I usually do. I try to always pick out at least 1-2 redeeming qualities out of any movie I watch. Like even if it's just if everything else is just terrible, the script, the acting, the effects, everything could be terrible. I'll still try to find that 1-2 silver lining of be like, all right, well, this actor did a good job, or like he made me laugh at least, or the score wasn't bad, and just anything just to pull something out of it. And there's just certain movies like Reborn, like there are a few things that I can pick out of it for sure, but just you're not missing much because after the third one, and I slept on the third one for a long time because of just hearing how bad it was. Like I love the first Jeepers Creepers. Second one is all right. It's had some pacing issues for me, but still leaps and bounds better than the third one. Then I ignored the third one since it came out a few years ago from hearing how terrible it is. And that's when I covered the first two on the channel. I said, I'm a completionist. So like once I start like a franchise or something like that, I have to cover all the movies in the franchise. So I said, all right, I got to finally go and watch 3 now. And especially we got Reborn coming up soon. And I watched 3 and I was just blown away by how terrible that movie was. Even that I could still pick out like 1 or 2 little things, just breadcrumbs of like, all right, a little bit redeeming. But even like you're saying, like when you have a bad film like that, there's still going to be an audience.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like you think of the worst film some of the worst movies you've ever seen and that are universally mostly hated. There are still people out there who will enjoy that movie. And it's like that for everything. It's not even just movies, just all types of art, all types of everything pretty much. That there's always going to be an audience for everything. It just is going to depend on how big that audience is, or how small, or how niche, or depending on what we're talking about. But for like movies, there's always going to be that little group of audience that's going to like whatever movie there is, no matter how bad other people perceive it or good other people perceive it.
Yeah,
which is what makes art and film and so engaging and so interesting to talk about and discuss, is that there's always going to be different opinions. And that's what keeps everything, the ball rolling around, I guess.
Yeah. And anytime you make something, you definitely have to avoid the social media, because, people are going to tell you how much they hate it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that's one thing I've always, not really wondered about, but like I think about that often, like when I watch like a movie I don't care for and stuff like that. But then you start thinking, you're like, they still put so much into making a film, you know what I mean? And that like all the work that they must have put in and stuff like that, it's like it's got to be hard to go online and everything today, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You can't go online without hearing shit from everywhere. And to imagine of going on, like just hopping on the internet for a little bit and then just hearing negative things about like something you created. It's got to be hard to deal with that. I mean, I have a little bit of like not experience, but like dealing with that in the past with like with music and stuff, my music that I've recorded and written over the years, but of just having it out there, and having people be able to hear it and listen to it, judge it in any way. But like once it gets to a certain level of like releasing a film, and it gets out there to a wide audience, you're always going to have that negatives, the positives. And I think you just kind of have to turn it off.
Yeah.
Just turn it off completely and just realize exactly what we're talking about, that there's always going to be people who like things, dislike things, and that you can't pay attention to it too much. or it could drive people crazy, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I knew a guy that he would they released a movie and he would go on IMDb and like just respond to every comment that was negative. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, fuck you," and like,
Yeah,
it just drove him insane.
Yeah, you'll lose your mind going like that, because you're gonna see that no matter what. Like, whether even if you have an amazing film, like there's still people who are gonna hate on it, or are gonna just not like it, dislike it, whatever. And so you just spending that energy is just so much better spent elsewhere than going through every comment, every tweet that you see, or every review you see online, and just saying, "Oh, well," like you said, like, "Fuck you, I worked hard on this," and like, like it's not worth it. Take that energy and put it into something new, into a new project. But you see that all the time. Like, just look at Halloween Ends.
Oh man, that was
what a divide that was caused in the horror community. Like, unreal. And then I did a stream with my buddy Mike on his channel for an hour and a half. We talked about it the night we saw it, and that was it. I don't want to talk about it again. I said, like, I'm not making a video on it. I said, if people want to hear my thoughts, there's an hour and a half stream that people can check out, me and my buddy's thoughts on it. And I did a video, like a half-hour video, of just the drama surrounding it, and that this is crazy. Like,
people were attacking Jamie Lee Curtis and the actors, and it's like they're just doing a job. Like, they didn't write it, like and they have a petition now.
I saw that. I saw, right?
And it's like, I think the guy, whoever made that petition, should just get all those people to donate money and then make it their own Halloween movie. Like, if they think,
if he really is that hell bent on hating on the film, he should. Like, exactly like you said, because like, you think that they care about 250,000 people, or whatever the amount was on the petition. They don't give a shit about that. I mean, it's making so much money, despite how people feel about the movie.
It's doing fine.
Yeah, it's doing absolutely fine. And then just the fact that it's Halloween and that it's in the Halloween property, it's doing fine just on its own because of that.
Yeah.
But like I didn't care for it at all. I really, really disliked it. But I never cared for the other two that came before, 2018 and Kills. Didn't really do it for me. So I didn't expect much from Halloween Ends anyway. But I know people who really enjoyed it. And I always say, 100%, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone has their different tastes. They're always going to like different things, like we were saying. And if people who like it, I couldn't be happier for them, sincerely. But it just didn't work for me, and it didn't work for a lot of people. But to be going out and making all these hate, negativity-filled tweets and posts and YouTube videos, and like I've said in my video about the drama for it and everything, I feel like it's no different that some people out there, some content creators, are milking the hate on this movie for more content. To me, it's the same thing as milking a franchise for money.
Yeah.
Like, there's really no difference in my eyes. It's like you're keeping the negativity going. You're keeping the hate going, that for no reason. Like, it's what happened back in the day when we would go to a movie with a friend or something like that, and you would leave and you'd outside for 10 minutes. I like this and this and this about. Oh yeah, I didn't care for this, but I like this and this. All right, cool. I'll see your work on Monday. That was it. That was all there was. Like, it was just your opinion, my opinion. All right, we did agree to disagree on certain things, and that's it. But now that everyone has a platform to talk on, it's just everyone's a professional critic nowadays. And just people just like to bitch about everything.
And you can't stand to anyone have a different opinion, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, it's sad to see that, especially in, like, we're all horror fans, we're all film fans, like, of course you're not going. I never go into a movie wanting it to be bad. Like, never go into a movie saying, oh, I hope this fucking sucks, man. I've been waiting all this time for this movie to blow terribly. Like, never. Like, when it happens, like, it's like, what are you gonna do? know, like
Yep.
you move on to the next movie and you throw something else on and check that out. But like just the hanging on this one movie that's like what, the 14th, 15th entry in the Halloween franchise after
Yeah.
40 something years. It's like it's not worth all this craziness. But it's, you see it on Twitter, you see it on Instagram, like it's just people are going nuts over this. And it's sad seeing like the horror community and stuff that is a really close community. Like we're the horror fans, you know, we're all a very close community.
Yeah.
And so we're hell bent on our horror movies and film and stuff. And to see just the divide that's been going on, I see it letting up a bit in the last like week or so, last few days. But until I saw that petition thing, I saw that actually earlier today, and I said, "Are you serious?" And there was somebody who wanted to sue the studios for false advertisement or misadvertising because Michael was only in the movie for 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's actually had more screen time in Ends than the first movie.
Yeah, in 2018. But it's like, who's gonna do that? Like,
Yeah.
like who's going? First of all, good luck finding a lawyer taking that case because it's never gonna happen.
It didn't work out for Game of Thrones or any of those shows.
Yeah, it's never going to. What's the Rusty? Yeah. I like Ends a lot. I understand others can't stand it. It's all good. Yeah, exactly, Rusty. Like that's how it is. It's like people are gonna like what they're gonna like, and it shouldn't bother other people, like what others' opinions are and stuff. If you like something and you can talk about it there's a plenty of people out there and a huge enough audience that love the film or any film or dislike a film or any film that you can talk to and share those opinions with and talk and theorize and discuss all of that. But to just hang on to it for no reason, it's just I don't get it. I just never have. So because I don't want to get into spoilers, obviously, because it's not out, people haven't seen it. What do you think is your favorite aspect of the film? Like after shooting it, filming it, now it's done, it's ready. What would you say is the thing you're most proud of it?
I mean, just as a whole, just seeing it all come together from where it started and where it's at now, and just having a piece of something that I pulled out of my head to watch is always really cool, and the fact that people like it is even more rewarding.
Oh,
so and it's all the hard work that went into it and all the stress and just endless troubleshooting and dealing with fires and not literal fires, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, it all paid off and it's done, and I don't have to do it. I don't have to do any of that again, and I've learned lessons. And if I do it the next movie, I'll do it better.
Yeah, and I think that's just how it goes with anything in life.
Yeah,
you do something once, and like you were saying earlier, like the actors and stuff knew more what they were doing. You were less, knowledgeable on filmmaking and stuff, but you learned as you went on, and now you have this under your belt, your first film that you should be extremely proud of because, like you said, how rewarding it is having other people like it. I fucking love it, and I know my boy Jasson enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'm sure once it releases, there's going to be a ton of people who enjoy the hell out of this movie. And just having that under your belt and moving forward to a next project, you're going to have all that experience from making Chest. And you're going to be able to see, all right, well, I know how this turned out last time, so let's not do that this time. Or I know this worked great last time, so like, let's try to incorporate this or any of that. It's just all a learning experience.
Yeah,
it's like that. Go ahead.
What's that?
No, you were starting to talk. I was saying.
I'm saying, yeah, you're exactly right. If you don't do anything, you're not going to learn, and if you don't learn from what you've done, then you're not going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
How it goes.
Yeah, that's how. I mean, because you play what, guitar and keyboards,
Yeah.
right? How long have you been playing?
Oh man. Since I was probably like 15. I'm 39 now, so
Right, yeah, so around the same as me.
long
I've been
time.
playing since I'm 11, 12, and I just turned 34 last month. So the guitar is my primary instrument, but I play some bass, some mandolin, some piano, keyboards, harmonica, a few other things and stuff. But I can relate with the feeling of just having an idea in your head and then just having it come out into fruition, like just like recording a song or recording an album and stuff, and just having all these ideas in your head and then finally being able to like see it, hear it, hold it, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
just be like, this is complete now, like this is mine. And just the rewards that you feel from that, the feelings that you get is like one of a kind, pretty much.
Yeah, and film is and it because I've done music, and it's nice to take an idea and turn it into a song, but to actually like see the visual representation of what you've envisioned on the screen is it's kind of like making a one of your dreams or one of your nightmares into a thing that you can actually sit down and watch eat popcorn and watch.
Yeah, no, that's got to be awesome. That's gonna be such a great feeling, and you should feel so proud, man, because like I said, absolutely, it's such a great movie. And like I said in my review for it, any film that can get me thinking long after a film ends is always good in my book. It's always an added bonus there. And that's exactly what Jess did for me. I told you, I watched it twice within a few days, just of having it on my mind and thinking of all these aspects of the film and just like the lore behind everything and the legends in it. And is that Black Panther story, the Panther story, a real story?
That is totally like I
thought it probably was.
When I was about I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. I was at my cousin's house, and his cat was freaking out on the back porch, and we opened the door, and the cat is like on the screen door freaking out, and we see this giant black cat jump off the back of the deck, and it turns around, and it was a damn panther. Wow. And I've heard people have spotted panthers around there.
Wow.
The National Park Service is like, no, there's no panthers, but I mean, it could be just a really big cat of some kind.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So it's just that's where I guess where the mystery of panther stemmed from, huh?
Yeah, and my cousin became obsessed with it. He used to go out and try to hunt it and stuff. He was just going out and getting drunk in the woods with a gun.
It works. It's hunting, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The two in that scene in the bar with the interviews, were those just actors you found, or were those people you knew, or
well,
that scene with the old man and then the bartender?
Yeah, the old guy, the drunk guy, he was cast. I found him actually through Marissa. She was working for some kind of casting thing, and she sent me his stuff, and he was great.
Yeah, he is.
And then the other guy, the bartender, he's I've met him a few times. He's friends with like Dean and some of the other guys, but he was a SAG guy, and he came from the same agent as some of the other people. There's an agent in Nashville, Kim McCrae. We used pretty much her entire roster on this movie, and a lot of it was like just happened to be like they signed on without her really being involved. To begin with, it's like she just kind of manages everybody in Nashville.
Yeah,
she was really helpful with some of that stuff. But Henry, the bartender, is a hell of an actor. He did a movie with Robin Williams.
Oh, really? What movie?
Boulevard.
Oh, okay.
I think it was one of Robin's final films, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that both of them, like, they did such a great job in there, and like they were so natural with with the interviews in the film and stuff that I didn't know if it was just like especially maybe the bartender, if it was like a friend of yours or someone you knew, because it seemed like it was just so natural. Like that whole interview part of that film, like just of the film, seemed so just like comfortable, and just like it felt like just a guy being interviewed. Like it's hard to get in found footage movies, in a decent amount of them. I find it's hard to get authentic feeling interviews for like films that surround, around that type of documentary filmmakers and stuff, and they start interviewing townsfolk and stuff. It's not an easy thing to get, actors that can act believably as like being interviewed on camera.
Yeah.
And he did such a great job with that.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor. He does a lot of stage stuff too, stage and theater, which
Cool.
A lot of people involved in the movie were actually have theater backgrounds, and that actually seemed to help a lot.
Yeah.
Because the movie has a lot of long dialogue, and they were able to memorize all of it and just do like one take of a 10-minute scene.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Was there any particular shot or anything or scene that was really tough to get? Or
well, the stuff in the cave was definitely the it wasn't really hard to get. It just we didn't know what we were getting, because
Okay.
after at some point when like there's a stationary camera in the cave, but then there's a point where everybody's away from that, and it's only try not to spoil anything, but it's only head cams at that point, and we didn't have any way to review what was being filmed, or we didn't play it. It was just taking forever to like take all the cameras out and then like go through,
check it, put back, set up again.
Yeah, so we were just like, okay, we know the depth of field of these cameras, so we got everything behind it, and we're just like, do the scene like you're on a stage, and we just made sure that they were rolling, and then afterwards we're just like, all right, I hope we got it.
Right. Hoping that worked out.
And it actually did, and there were some really cool moments that just kind of happened unintentionally that were really cool.
Yeah, no, those are the best when you get happy accidents like that. Just things you get for, but just comes out working better than you thought.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think we'll wrap things up in a minute or two. Question though, what do you like watching right around or on Halloween? What are your like go-to films?
Oh man, I mean, I always watch Evil Dead, at least once a year. Actually got to go see that in the theater recently. There's a local theater that had a special showing of it.
Nice.
I always watch Ernest Scared Stupid.
That's a great one, man.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
That's a classic.
Yeah, there's a few just kind of goofy Halloween movies that I really like to watch, but I've been doing this 100 movie challenge since like August. So it's been like some horror movie every day. But I try to go to the movies a lot during October, because they release so much stuff. Yeah. So it's fun to go to.
So what's the 100 movie challenge? Just watching a movie a night for 100?
It's 100 movies in 92 days. So it's like 3 months. There's I can't remember her name, Sarah, something from the Unnamed Footage Fest. She does it every year, and it's just kind of, it's a reason just to watch horror movies all the time. That's
what I was gonna say. Pretty much, I won that challenge like every year of my life for the last 25 years. I must like every night. Most nights if I'm not out and stuff, but most nights if I'm just chilling at home, I probably watch 3 horror films a night. Like it's mostly all I watch is horror anymore. Like, and I'm a big stand-up comedy fan too. I listen to stand-up a decent amount, like at least a few times a week, if not more. But horror is pretty much mostly all I watch.
Yeah.
So, and around this time of year, I mean, Halloween, Carpenters, obviously, is one of my favorite films of all time. The Thing is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, The Thing is great.
Those
I'm
are
actually going as Kurt Russell from The Thing for Halloween.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Made a little flamethrower and everything.
It's such a the effects in that movie alone just I feel like are still unrivaled to this day.
Yeah.
Practical effects wise, like it's just unbelievable what Bottin was able to do in that movie, and how young he was. Like he was 21, 22 years old when he worked on The Thing, on the effects on that, and he was working like 18-hour days, 7 days a week for like the whole length of filming the film. And like they had to treat him for exhaustion multiple times. Like I love reading like behind the scenes things on not all movies, but like just certain movies, like ones that either I adore or favorites of mine, or like the Evil Dead, like you mentioned, like just some of the behind the scenes stuff and like documentaries of the making of those movies of the Evil Dead franchise is so fascinating.
Oh yeah.
You just get to see also how much Sam Raimi and Bruce have such a close friendship that Sam would fuck with Bruce purposely, like making all of those movies. Like he would have like smile down at the camera guy and be like, watch, I can get him to do anything. And be like, all right, Bruce, I want you to cluck like a chicken with the skeletons on the side of you. And he'd be like, what, are you serious? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm serious. And he'll do it. And then he'll just never use the scene. With like him hitting himself with plates and stuff. He'll like only put like one plate in the film, but he like had him do it for like 12 takes. Like just to mess with him and stuff. Like and just see like that's how their friendship is. It's so fun to like see the scenes of that and stuff. But all right, so yeah, so just one more time for people watching the future. So when hopefully they can expect to see Chest.
Hopefully by the beginning of the first of the year, if not sooner. Soon as we're just waiting on streaming services to pick it up, and but we'll definitely be announcing any news on our website, chessmovie.com, and Instagram chessmovie.
Yeah, I got all that linked in the description for the stream here. And actually, we'll close this with a question here from Rusty. He says, what's a few of Aaron's favorite found footage films he thinks are well-made and fun watches?
Well, I mean, aside from Blair Witch Project, one of my favorite is an Australian movie called The Tunnel.
Tunnel's great.
Yeah, that movie, like, genuinely creeps me out. Like, it's so well done. And
I gotta rewatch that and cover it on the channel, because I haven't seen that in a while, but that's a great one.
Yeah, that creature in that movie is so practical, and just the way they reveal it is just it's chilling.
It's great, and you don't see practical effects in found footage as much. You know, so I think that was very cool to see when I first saw that movie. That didn't know that they were doing the creature effects all practical for the most part.
Yeah. Aside from that, I really like the Grave Encounters series. The first one definitely. The second one I just like because it's sort of just absurd.
Yeah. I love the first one. Is in my top 3 found footage films ever.
Yeah.
Like, Creep is my favorite found footage film.
Creep is another franchise. I hope they make a third one.
I know. I've been hoping for years now, ever since the second one, basically. And then they've said it multiple times. I don't know how recently any news from them, but they said that they definitely want to do a third one. They're just waiting for like the script, like the best version of an idea or script that they have.
Yeah,
be able to go forward and finally make the third one. And I say just take the time, like wait until that idea does come along, and that they have this, the best idea, and say, all right, this is the movie, this is the sequel we want to make, and just come out with that, because Mark Duplass is just unreal in those movies.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Like his performance in that movie is my favorite performance in a found footage film.
Yeah.
Like in Creep, especially in the first Creep, but in both of them, I mean, he's phenomenal. But in that first movie, man, like it just the first time I saw that movie, my eyes did not leave the screen.
Yeah.
Like the whole time from watching Duplas's performance. Like it was just unreal in that movie.
Yeah.
So I think that answers your question for you, Rusty. So Great Encounters, Blair Witch, The Tunnel. Rusty, if you haven't seen The Tunnel, definitely check that out because awesome found footage film. And yeah, Aaron, I want to just say thanks so much, man, for the screener, for letting me watch the movie early, for making the movie, for coming on here tonight, and just for everything, man. It's been
man. And thank you for being such a supporter of the movie and everything. So
anytime, man. If I see something I like, I will 100% always go to bat for it. And I absolutely enjoy and love the hell out of this movie. So
cool.
You will always have my support here for it.
Awesome.
All right, bud. I will talk to you soon.
All right.
And guys, I will see you guys later, and future watchers of the video. See you guys later on the channel, and hope everyone has a good night, good day, wherever you're from, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care, guys.